I am Mansi from Mansi Makes, and I am so honored to be part of the Gelli Arts team. It's a woman-run operation, and I only work with a very select few number of companies, and they are a very natural choice for me because of just how well they work and just the camaraderie between the artists, and everybody's so supportive and everybody's so creative. It's a lot of fun, and they've come out with some really cool products in the recent past. They've listened to user feedback and they've designed new products, and it's really nice that a company actually will pay attention, will listen to what the audience wants, make changes, and it goes a long way. I think it goes a long way to just building loyalty and knowing that the company is actually going to listen to you. All right, so I am working in a vacuum here, people. Can't seem to see any comments again. So I'm just going to start showing you what I wanted to show you, and hopefully, am I stuck? Hopefully this is going to work. Okay, so I am going to show you, first of all, it's St. Patrick's Day, so I wanted to show you some prints. This is a thing that has gone up on YouTube. It's a whole process video on printing with clovers. So I made my own shamrock, and that's what that is. So a detailed process video is up on YouTube. It's also on Gelli Art's Facebook and on Instagram pages. So you can have a look at that later. I didn't want to do shamrocks, clovers again because, this video is pretty detailed and it is online. So we'll do that. And Madison is just texting me to see if she can message me some of the questions. Yes, Madison, that would be great. Thank you so much. So I can answer questions as they come along if she's not able to answer them for me. But Madison is very knowledgeable about all Gelli Arts products. So if there are product-specific questions, feel free to ask in the chat and she'll be able to answer them. If there are technique-specific questions that I don't get to in the live, I will go through all of them after the live has ended and answer. This live will be available offline. Once it ends, I will edit a bit from the beginning, make sure that it will go to YouTube. It will also be on the Gelli Arts Facebook page. I will see if I can link to it from Instagram. So all social media accounts will be covered. Okay, and before I get started though, I do want to show a couple of things because I know people tend to join a bit late, and I do take photos of everything after the fact. But I do want to show you, so I showed you these 3 prints, and I know a couple of people are here specifically to learn about card making today. I won't do a start to finish card, but I will tell you the steps as I go along. When I say card, what I mean is a greeting card that you can mail out to someone made with botanicals. So this was my test piece that I did last night as I was cutting out my own masks here that you see, just stencils and masks that I cut out of paper. So this was my test piece, and I will tell you the size you need with a square gel plate to be able to make a rectangular card, and whatever parts you trim off, nothing goes to waste. You can add that on the envelope. Have a nice coordinated, very professional looking set here. Or instead of doing something like that, you can cut it into a really thin rectangle and have it mounted on 3 different pieces of cardstock before mounting it on the card base. So various ways to make cards, but we'll get there in a minute. I also want to show you some examples of things that you can do with real leaves. Now I know in a lot of places it's still snowing, so you don't have real leaves right now, but let me see if I can get a bit of me on the side so you're not just looking at my hands. Okay, so real leaves make for some beautiful monochromatic prints. These are all single layer prints. There's nothing complicated about these. We'll do some single layer prints today, but I also want to show you some double, triple, quadruple. I don't know how to say 5 layers in that same terminology, but 5-layer prints even. This was 2 layers, the cream and the pink, the magenta. This was a single layer. No, actually 2 layers. So there are some things that you can do with just simple prints. It's just very easy to do that. I'll show you all of this, so don't worry about it. I just want to show you what I do with some of them too. Like this is a journal, an empty journal, and this is a journal cover that I made with my gel plate and with a leaf. So lots of cool things that you can do. These are ferns made with a mini gel plate, the circular, I think this is the 4-inch actually, the 4-inch circular gel plate. Again, overlapping the same ferns over and over using a color palette. This is a coast print color palette that is in harmony, and we'll talk a little bit about that as well. These are some prints that you will see come on the March printing challenge, Botanicals. I think it's towards the end of March. I loved doing all of these. These are many, many, many layers, and I'm a mixed media artist, so for me, this brings me more joy than anything else. And I did want to show you that with the same mask, this is one mask that I cut out of paper a long time ago, and it's been used so many times in all of these overlaps, and you can get such different results with one little piece of stencil. You know, it's amazing to me that this is paper crafting. I am not very good at paper crafting, but this is paper crafting when you're cutting out your own masks and getting such a wide variety of prints from that one little stencil. And also, if you have loose sheets, especially for those of you starting out, a lot of the times we are asked, how do I practice? How do I get better? I just have loose sheets of paper. I've disc bound them. This was an idea that I got from Tanya, who's also a fabulous Gelli artist. She's one of our designers on the team. And she told me that she does her journals this way. And what this is basically I take copy paper, I cut it into 4 parts, and then I just put it in here. And then whenever I want to practice my portraits or and you know, this is just patterns that I turned into a goat print using a stencil. And then I embellished it and made it into kind of a journal piece that says, in my defense, I was left unsupervised. So you can have a lot of fun with these. And this is, again, a brayer sheet, which got transformed into this. These were some prints I made last night at 10 o'clock. If you were on Instagram, I posted a reel about this. I did a live video showing that I was cutting out these masks and stencils in preparation for today. And these are all pieces that were done with a combination. So I used my acrylics, I used my color shift paints, I used my alcohol inks, I used my acrylic ink. I even used the ceramic paint. I put anything on my gel plate, really. Then, of course, there are the distress inks and distress oxides. There are dye inks. There's so much to play with on the gel plate. I don't get tired of it. It's just amazing what you can do. And so I will show all of this today. And this is a way for you to practice. Just, you know, cut up some copy paper or some colored cardstock or whatever you have. You have leftovers from when you're making cards, stick them together. When you want to take them out, take a piece out. It's just paper. You know, Tracy always says that too. You've seen Tracy's lives. It's just a piece of paper. It's totally all right if you mess up. And it's really simple to play with. Another thing I have is a journal. And I promise I will start at 12:15. But I am going to show you examples because we get so many questions around what do you do with gel plate printing? Well, I'm showing you all the examples here. This is my mixed media journal. A lot of this started out with a gel plate print. The basics, the backbone of each of these pages, maybe 1 or 2 didn't, but like this is all gel plate printing with some watercoloring and some die cutting and some sentiments attached, you know. This is plain old watercoloring. There's no gel plate printing in this, but this is gel plate printing. This is an alcohol ink painting and some gel plate printing. This was just with my Stabilo woody pencils. This is gel plate printing, and I don't know if you can see, but I'll lift this up so it's closer. This is on Duralar, which is a product by Graphics Arts. It's like acetate, but so it's translucent, but it's much more sturdy. And so this started out, all of these elements here are gel plate printed, and they are on Duralar, and they were made with alcohol inks. So that's, you know, so much variety that you can get. Oh, I wasn't supposed to share this. This is also a gel plate print, but it's going to come later in March. So, you know, so much fun to be had with different shapes. You can use your minis. This is the biggest one I have, the 8-inch round. And so I took the prints of these botanicals, and then I just cut the big circles out. So the punch and the discs, I'm getting a question for this disc journal. So I got them from Amazon, and if you go to amazon.com, /shop/Monsi Makes, then you can go through my shopping list, and it is on there. These discs, they're easy to find on Amazon. That's where I got them from. And they work with any, you can have as many punches as you want. There's a machine specific to making these punches that you can get. So yeah, and you can also cut out. If you don't like a background particularly, didn't turn out okay, just cut the leaf out. You still have the leaf print from the gel plate that you can use in your journals or whatnot. So lots and lots of paper stuff that you can do. But then I also wanted to show you something fun that I made recently, and this is going to be shared on the Gelli Arts channel, which I'm so happy about. But look, these are botanicals printed using a gel plate on Easter eggs. Aren't they fun? I just had so much fun making these, and there will be a detailed video. So you'll have like the process at your fingertips, and you can make your own fun Easter egg basket. Colorful Easter eggs. They're wooden, so you can use them year after year. I did varnish them, so they're okay to be put outside as well for decorative purposes. And then this is something, again, that you will see on the Gelli Arts channel, flower pots. So, you know, there are so many things that you can make. These were also made using a gel plate. Lots and lots of cool things that you can do. So it's not just restricted to paper crafting. That's kind of what I was trying to get at. Now for today's demo, I thought I would do a variety of things. And if I start getting sidetracked, please rein me in, because there's a lot of stuff to cover. I want to share a lot of things. So yes, there are stencils. We'll be using some stencils that may or may not be botanical themed for our layers. So this one is obviously flowers. But then there are also these patterned stencils that we can build a lot of layers with. This one is from Gelli Arts, and I love it. So is actually these three are from Gelli Arts. Love these stencils, and there are some numerals. There's these patterns. These are all Gelli Arts stencils. They make fabulous stencils. So don't just check them out for gel plates, but also for other products, because it's really cool. And then there's a stencil here from Simon Says Stamp, which I used in some card making videos that are up on the blog, on the Gelli Arts blog, which you can look at later. And Madison can put a link to the Gelli Arts blog, which is a wealth of information and tutorials over there. So have a look at that. And what I recently started doing is embossing on paper. So you could use your embossing folder directly, but another way of doing this would be to emboss on some cardstock and then use that cardstock to leave an impression on your gel plate. What happens is you get colorful, beautifully colored, embossed cardstock. So that's helpful as well. You get 2 for 1. You get beautiful colors on your cardstock, and you get imprints. And then sometimes when I die cut, I have these sheets left over. Now these are on Graphics Arts plastic, craft plastic, white opaque plastic. And they work as great stencils because they are non-tearable. So when you're pulling them off of your gel plate, nothing bad is going to happen to them. So I like to use these also in my prints. Okay, and then of course we have real leaves that I just got from our neighbors. So I have some leaves here. Our landscaping is not done yet, so I don't have any plants of my own, but I have these leaves from our neighbors. This is my first live from my new craft room. We just moved 5 weeks ago. So really happy with this whole setup. I just wish technology wouldn't be that bad today. So I'm going to grab my 8x10 and my 5x7 gel plate, but I will also take out the card making kit, which I'm going to primarily use today. So here is the card making kit from Gelli Arts. It's the card printing kit. I did open it yesterday to see what was in it, and I did try out a little foam, I think it's foam, the thing that you can carve out your designs on. So when you open this, I promise I never took out anything else from this, but when you open it, you get this cute little punchinella, which I use for just about every single print. You get paints. My daughter's super happy whenever I get these kits because this paint goes straight to her, because I have a whole wall of paints behind me. So these go to her, but these are acrylics that you could totally work with. You get a brayer. You get one of these beautiful thready things. I don't know what the official name for this is, but it is just so, so pretty and leaves such amazing texture and details on the gel plates, and the more paint you get on it, the harder it gets. In some places it's not as flexible, and that makes for some amazing texture too. So you can keep reusing this stuff over and over again. Then you get some popsicle sticks, which are great for making patterns. You have a square gel plate. This is a 5x5. Do not throw away the bubble wrap because that is great for making prints. And yes, you can reuse it. I actually don't ever clean mine. Once I get my textures out, you'll see how much paint they have on them. And then you get this nifty thing, which is what I carved a little like leaf on, and I'll show you how to do that. Getting something from Loom on my laptop, which is affecting my display. Okay, and then you get these pre-scored, pre-cut pieces of cardstock ready to go for you to make cards with. And you also get some deli paper here to get some prints on. So deli paper makes for some amazing layered effects, especially when you're doing cards. You can layer a lot of prints together. And then there is an instruction sheet that tells you how to use all of these things to make your prints. These are foam stamps. I was correct, it's foam. It felt like foam. So what we're going to do is put all of this back in except for the gel plate, because I have all of this stuff from other kits and I have a lot of paper, and we will start printing. Actually, let me put the clean bubble wrap in there too. You do want to peel off the acetate from your gel plate, and the way I store mine are basically sandwiched between two sheets of copy paper, just regular copy paper. You don't need anything fancy. So just regular copy paper, and keep it on a flat surface. And I wish I could actually I can carry over, because a lot of times we're asked how we store our gel plates. I will show you today because I can. So I'm just going to move all of this away. These are just simple stacking trays, again from Amazon. It's not very sturdy plastic, but let me see if I can give you a full view of this. So they have tabs over here, and they stack. So you can actually remove, and you see how I have like copy paper here, and I have my 8x10. I have that labeled as 8x10. And then if I move this over, I have this amidst two pieces of copy paper, and this is my 8-inch round. So, you know, it's easy to store the gel plates this way. And again, if you go to amazon.com/shop/MonsiMakes, you will see a whole list of products, and I can add that in the comments later after the live is done. But that's how I store my gel plates. All right, so I'm going to get my perfect placement tool. Make some space over here to get some prints done. Oh, it's so nice to actually have an L-shaped table where I can move things around and things are not on, you know, piling on top of each other. So that's the perfect placement tool. Now this has completely changed how I do my prints. This was just released 2 weeks ago by Gelli Arts, and it's been life-changing. What can I say? I am not a person who is big on alignment and measuring and math. This takes the guesswork out of everything for me, which is why I absolutely love it. And I've been getting perfectly layered prints every single time. So look into it. And if you want to purchase anything today on Gelli Arts, you can use my code. It's MonsiB. I don't know if it's showing up. Let me see if it's showing up over here. There we go. MonsiB, 10% discount on gelliarts.com. Also on the placement tool. And this is basically, you want to see a demo of this up close and personal, you should go to YouTube, Gelli Arts YouTube channel. Marsha just uploaded an amazing video. It was mind-boggling to me how she did that. So simple, yet so complex. So this has grooves that are etched in, numbers and grooves. There's a ruler here. This one says 8x10. This one says 5x7. This one says 6x6. And this one says 3x5. And what you basically have these grooves for is when you are using 8.5x11 sheet paper, and you have your gel plate here, you nestle your gel plate and you pull a print. If you're using a 5x7 gel plate, you would nestle your gel plate the same way as the paper is nestled in right now, move these to the corresponding holes that say 5x7, and take a print. And every time you would get a centered print, because the paper is going to move, the plate is nestled in these two corners, this L over here, you will get a centered print, no matter what the size of your gel plate. If it's a 6x6, same thing. So since we're using a 5x5, which is very close to a 6x6, let me just demo this, and then I'll get to that one question that people have been asking about wasting paper. I don't want to use a full sheet of paper for my 6x6 plate. How do I do that? I have an answer for you. This does not seem aligned. See, me and math. Doesn't work. Do I have it on the wrong notch over here? Yes, I do. That's why it's not working. You see, this is like for people like me. It's foolproof. Isn't that cool? Okay, so let's see. Where's the gel plate? This is the 6x6. Let's get started on some printing. I've been jabbering away a lot, and I know you're excited to see prints. So let's get to some techniques. So this is the 5x5, but the 6x6 is the same. It's just an inch bigger. This is what comes in the kit, but you can also buy. And sorry for that head view over there. I have embraced my gray hair in 2020. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll start with what everybody's familiar with and comfortable with, which are acrylics. So I like to use the brand by Golden, but you can pretty much use, I have a whole wall of Liquitex acrylics behind me. You can use pretty much any acrylic paints that you're comfortable with. I'm just going to brayer on. I do need my brayer and a braying sheet over here. So you're just going to brayer on some of that yellow. You don't need a lot. Make sure you're lifting your brayer with every movement, left to right, top to bottom. Lift your brayer up. This is going to be my base print. It's going to be a splotchy print, and that's all right. I'm conditioning my plate right now. It's a new plate by putting paint on it. So the first few prints are going to be a bit splotchier than usual because of the oil coating on the gel plate, but that's fine. I'm pressing with this part of my hand, and the amount of pressure I'm using is the same amount of pressure you would use if you were massaging your thigh, giving your thigh a good massage. That's how I like to explain or describe it. Also, I have heating on in my house right now, which will contribute to this drying up really fast, which might also result in some splotchy prints, but that's totally fine. So here what we have is your base print. Now I want to go ahead and layer that with, say, a magenta that's oozing out. And I'm going to use a real leaf. Yeah, it's really dry in here in this room today. I'm going to use this fern and see how easy it's going to be, because now I don't have to guess where to place it. It's just going to automatically adjust. Move the placement tool away, press down. This is the part where you get a massage. It's very therapeutic, it's relaxing, it slows you down, lets you appreciate the moment and breathe. Okay, now in the past, what would have happened normally, and when I say in the past, I wouldn't have the placement guide. I would, if I remembered, stick a piece of paper that would be the same size as the paper I was printing on under my gel plate, and I would still guess when I wanted my second pull, if I wanted the details of the leaves. I don't have to do that anymore. I can pull that off. I can place this right here, nestle my plate, put my copy paper on, do the massage, and be 100% sure that I will get all the details of that leaf where I want them. And sure enough, they dried up. Wouldn't you know that would happen on a live? I did get some, but this will make for a good ghost print. So let's do a ghost print. Okay, what color shall we do a ghost print with? I am thinking maybe a color shift. I want to do a purple. Let's do a purple. I love color shifts. These are metallic paints by Folk Art, and they provide this amazing sheen to your print. And the light changes the color. So whenever you have a ghost print that's sitting on your gel plate and it gets too dry before you pull it, an easy fix is to either use a colored paint like I am, a metallic transparent paint like I am, so it doesn't affect the color of the ghost print that you're pulling up, but it also gives a sheen at the same time. You could also just use clear gesso. That works just as well. All you're trying to do is introduce moisture to the gel plate again so that the paper has something to grab onto that print that is sitting there and can pull it off. And there you have it. That's your ghost print. Look how pretty that is. And when it does that, the sheen is so beautiful. This one is a purple flash. It's a purple and pink with a little bit of blue in it. It's really, really pretty. So that's how easy it really is to do your prints. Now, if you were to take this a notch further, you could be happy with these prints and you could be done. What if you used a mask on top of this and covered this up completely? And I could, if I were doing this in a live class, when I did my live demos before COVID, people would start gasping and saying, no, don't do that, it'll ruin the print. Well, there's only one way to find out. I say that each print goes through a lot of life stages, and you might like it at a certain life stage, and then it changes, it evolves, you know, and that's okay. It's okay for it to do that. I'm not going to be using a lot of textures today because I really just want to focus on the botanicals aspect. So let's see if we were to block the print off, use this as a mask. Let's see what happens. What do you think is going to happen? I'm going to take this print, put it on, and see what happens. I will lose some of this, but I'm okay with that. And I can layer as many times as I want. And this will keep changing every single time I take a print. Don't be afraid to layer. It's just paper. You might learn a thing or two about color theory. You might learn a thing or two about what you like, what you don't like, what color combinations work for you, what don't. Isn't that cool? It's an odd-shaped leaf, though. I'm going to try to pick the ghost print up on this. And sometimes when I layer, I actually lose the original print completely. And that's okay too, you know, because then I make something new out of that. So see, I got some more color, so it doesn't look that odd. You get some more details of the fern in the blue. Still have some of that ghost print left, but I want to do something more with that print. I'm still not very happy with that. So what I'm going to do is maybe use some white, and I'll go back to my quinacridone magenta that got mixed in. My colors are plopping all over the place. I need some wet wipes. And I have them handy, so. Also, I don't ever clean my plates and I don't clean my brayers. If you are on Instagram, you might have caught me cleaning one of my brayers. I think it was 2 weeks ago I shared. This layer of paint, it becomes really thick and it makes the brayer not roll anymore. That's when I know I need to clean it, and I just peel the paint right off the brayer. It feels like leather, all that accumulated paint. Let's see if I do this, what's going to happen. This was something I cut out last night. And I might just want to pair it with this to mask off some of that area. See what happens. I'm just playing, you guys. There's no rhyme or reason why I do what I do. When I am in my gel plate printing zone, all I'm really doing is having fun, period. That's it. I'm just playing. I'm just seeing what's working, what's not working. I'm learning constantly. And I always end up finding something new. Oh, this was interesting. So this kind of barely showed up on this. I like the pattern it created. I love this. Do you see this? I just love, I wish it was more defined. But I love that. That was so cool. Okay, we're going to do maybe Aqua Flash. Again, a color shift. Peel that off. Roll a bit of that on. And yes, there's a ghost print there. Sometimes you will brayer so hard and not have enough paint that you will brayer off the print itself. It's happened to me many times. So that's how you learn how much pressure to apply. And I'm not expecting to pull any distinct prints with this last pull. I am just expecting a sheen on top and some more undefined printing. But this is, again, part of the process. It's part of the journey. This looks like a hot mess right now. I know what you're thinking. She doesn't know what she's doing. I don't. But I'm experimenting, and it's all good. So now I'm going to take one bright color. This is my rouge red. Oh, look at that. Just bleeding all over the place, my colors. Oh, that would have rolled off so beautifully. Okay, so I'm going to add that on. Put a nice layer. And I'm going to block everything off this time, people. I'm going to block everything off. And I am going to add some texture. This is what happens. I start getting excited and then my paint starts drying up. This is a block that I made with found objects, buttons, you know, just knickknacks. Press that on for pattern. Place this over. Let me see if I can wow you with this print. If I can't, I'll make more. My goal is to make at least 2 prints that wow people in each session. Hopefully this will be the one. There you go. So you see the journey it went through. I mean, I could even add a yellow. I could add a white in my next layer and pull another print and just place my leaf this way. And then everything else will be masked out except for this part. So you can keep going. I don't even remember how many layers we did on this. 5, 6, I don't know. But you can keep going. You can keep building layers. And as each layer builds, there's more depth to every single piece. Like you can see the first bit of yellow and blue green over here. You can see the purple flash over there. You can see the dark blue over here. There's the quinacridone magenta somewhere there. And there are so many layers and then your final pull. So that's what I mean when I say just, you know, play. And I haven't forgotten about this print. This one I love, but I do want to do something with a neutral color, say like with white on top of this one. And again, mask it out with another Botanical, since we already have a nice fine print. Try to make sure I'll get all the white, clear white. Sometimes it becomes pink or red, depending on what I've reared with earlier, and that's cool. That's fine too. I roll with it. So let's use this mask this time, and maybe I can use, let me get some more textures out, maybe do some bubble wrap. Sometimes the color from the bubble wrap from a previous print transfers over, which is always a nice surprise. So allow yourself to be surprised when you're doing gel plate prints. Really. It's so much more fun when you don't go in with a preconceived idea of what it should look like, and you're really just in the moment enjoying the process. Ooh, look at that. You see that? And then it has that beautiful sheen, and you can still see the fern through those leaves. Oh, this is such a cool print. I wish I'd done this on cardstock. But, so this is just on copy paper, okay? And you can, of course, trim your prints. So I did some calculation yesterday. So you take an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, if you're not wanting to waste paper, which is what I'm going to show you now. 8.5 by 11 piece, this is cardstock, it's accent cardstock. You trim it in half, so you get an 8.5 by 5.5 piece. You take your print on a 5 by 5 gel plate. So you'll end up with a square. And then you trim that square into, this took me a while to figure out how to do the, I'm not kidding, I'm bad at math. It's going to be a 4 7/8 by 3 3/4, which is what I then turned into a card, which I showed earlier. Let me see if I can find that. Yeah, so here's that example. So basically a square print that you then trim. This is a 5.5 by 4.25 standard card size, which is what comes in your card printing kit. And you're just trimming your print so that you have a nice border around to fit that, which you can do easily by trimming. So I don't print directly on my cards. I know Tracy shows that in her demos. If you're interested in doing that, definitely watch Tracy's videos, because she uses this masking tape and she gets like the perfect print in 2 or 3 pulls. And that's her style of doing it. That's not my way of doing it. I like to do it separate, and then I stick it on, I add some embellishments and finish up the cards. So, you know, do what feels right to you. Do what feels good to you. Okay, so now how do you use this plate with, I mean, this is not going to work, right? You can see the placement tool is not going to work if you don't have an 8.5 by 11 sheet. Wrong. it will work. So this is what I love about everything that Gelli Arts produces. You can move things around, especially in this, to modify it so that it works for you. This is not going to be a centered print, but the perfect placement tool, besides centering your print, is a way for you to add layers to your print. It's to align your layers. If you think of it like that, this tool will always work for you, because now I have my paper lined up perfectly. It's on the 8 by 10 grid. This is not an 8 by 10 plate, but it will still work for layering, and I will show you how with a different medium this time. So we used acrylics, we used the color shift. How about we use some dye inks and some distress inks? So let me see if, so that's that. Let me just put my acrylics away to the side so that I'm not pulling. I might still use a white. I might actually still, so, okay. Disclaimer, mixed media artist here. I'm going to put my face on again for a second while I drink some water. Okay, so I'm a mixed media artist. For me, it's terrifying to only use one medium at a time. It's scary, it limits me. I don't like that, I like to play. So for me, it's all about mixing things. So in the next part of this demo, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I might start out with distress oxides or distress inks or ink pads or inkers, re-inkers, and then I might introduce some acrylic ink in it. I might introduce some acrylic paint in it. I might introduce some ceramic paint in it. We'll see. But I will show you that you can play fearlessly on the gel plate. That's the idea here. So let's do something with, this is Distress Oxide Abandoned Coral. You can use your brayer and transfer the color from your ink pad onto the plate using your brayer, or you could just dab on your pad directly on the gel plate, which is what I normally do. I just like to see how much color transfers over and then spread it out. Now these Distress Oxides are new to me. I did not have Distress Oxides prior to last week. So this is all new to me, as it is or might be to you. Spray some water because these are water reactive, and get my cardstock. Get a pattern maybe on there. So let's see, I have a tile here from some yard sale, I want to say. I'm not sure where I got this from. Cool pattern, I picked it up. So there you have it. Nestle the gel plate, align your paper, press with this part of your hand. Let's use some stencils this time, maybe. What did I do with my stencils? I showed you all my stencils and I put them aside. So, I mean, just that. Isn't that just like so simple? And it's a background. You can layer that like with anything. It's so simple. That's what I don't understand when people say I'm so afraid of using the gel plate. People, get over your fear and just play. You know, when you play, things become simple. I think most of the times I do that too sometimes, and I have to remind myself when I'm doing something new. Don't overcomplicate it. We are our own worst enemies. Don't go in with an agenda. Just play. And it's easy. It's so easy. Just use one medium. You don't have to complicate it. Use one medium that you're comfortable with. You have to start somewhere. I'm going to use this stencil and see what happens. I think this size fits it better. So Gelli Arts produces these stencils in 2 different sizes. And again, if you buy anything from Gelli Arts today and you use Monsi B, you get a 10% discount, which is nice. So we did Distress Oxide. So let's stick with Distress Oxide and see what happens. So I'm using the ground espresso. You don't need a lot. You'll notice that I just dab it on like the half of the plate, and then I just kind of spread or brayer the color around. I'm going to place my stencil. There are 2 ways of doing this. You can either place your stencil on the plate. There are many ways of doing this. These are the 2 ways I use, I should say. You can place your stencil on your gel plate, and pull a print, which will basically mean that you will get the outline of the new color and you'll get the inside of the previous color. Sorry, outline of the previous color, inside of the new color. I always mess this up. Or you can lift it up and you can just get outlines. I can do that on the back side of this, because I'm demoing right now, to show you what that ghost print would look like. So you could have placed this on top and you could have used a scrap piece of paper to get that color off, and then you would have placed your actual thing to get this. So this is just one color then, just the outline, which is also really cool, I think, especially if you're using like something like Duralar, which is transparent or translucent, to just have that and then outline it with some gold on a card. I mean, that just by itself, classic. So, so good. Let's layer on this now. So now I'm going to use my dye ink on top of this. So I have this dye ink. It's a chiffon dye ink from Catherine Pooler. These are super duper moist, so you do not need a lot of these, and these are also very, very water reactive. I'm just building patterns here before masking anything off. So for this one, I'm just going to add some bubble wrap, which comes in your card making kit. Get my placement tool. And you know, when you do a double-sided, the other thing it gives you is the option to use one of those prints, whichever one you like better, while you're still playing. Now this is going to be very, very subtle. I don't know if the camera is going to catch it, but there's yellow and there's texture. Maybe if I tilt it, I don't know if you can see, but there's like bubble texture and there's the yellow. It's very slight. Maybe this needs a darker color. So if we were to go with a darker color, let's use a green this time. Eek! Oh, the spills. Let's wipe this off. And brayer on. Which one was this? This was some kind of a green. The phthalo green, blue shade. Okay. Probably should have done a yellow, but too late. Use that. And I'm going to use the Gelli Arts tool to make some swirls here. So this is really sharp. You don't want to press. You don't want to press with anything that is sharp on your gel plate. But this just makes for some nice random marks. Align that there. Put your cardstock on. And Madison, I can't see the comments still. So if there are any pressing questions, please let me know. Happy to answer. Voila! See how easy that was? I'm not joking when I say this thing is easy. Pull this off. Now, if you were to make this from not paper, you could use from any other substrate. The one that I would recommend is craft plastic from Graphics Arts. It's really sturdy. It lasts forever. Okay, the ghost print didn't come off, but I like this. I'm not in love with the color combinations I chose, but I like it. Okay, so 2 more questions. Where do you get the punch discs? Are there anything mediums? Any mediums I don't use on the gel plate? The only thing I haven't used on the gel plate yet is glitter paste, and that's a personal thing. I do not like glitter. So I haven't used a glitter paste, and I haven't used oil pastels because they will harm the surface of the gel plate, so not that. How do you store your stencils? So I'll show you at the end of this demo where I store my stencils. Do you have to add any additional pressure for image transfers? Ooh, image transfers is a whole other demo altogether. I did a video, it's on YouTube. If you go to Mansi Makes on YouTube, just search for Mansi Makes. You will see a recent demo I did for the monochromatic print challenge, for the March printing challenge for Gelli Arts. And I did do portrait transfers, and I talk you through how to do portrait transfers and how much pressure to apply in doing portrait transfers using a gel plate. So I'm just going to move along and use Liquitex Acrylic Ink, which it's going to bead up. It's like the reinkers. It's going to bead up, but fear not. Purple and green do not go well together, but I had green on this earlier, so I'm just going to go with it. See how it's beading up? I love the texture that provides. It's so yummy. And then I'm just going to align that again. Apply some pressure. This, I like the beadiness because it just adds texture without you doing anything. The medium is doing it for you, which is really, really cool. You see how you get those speckles of color? Some people might not like that. I love that. That to me is the coolest thing ever. I'm going to use some purple color shift. So trying to make a monochromatic background, if you will. Let's add some circles this time because my eye went to the circles. And I like this stencil. So this is the other way you could do a stencil print, is if you put your stencil on top and you roll your brayer over, it leaves an imprint of the stencil on the gel plate, which you can then pull off on your paper. I don't know how I did gel plate printing before this placement tool, honestly. I mean, it's just become second nature right now to use it. It just makes the overlaying so much easier, so much faster, so much of a no-brainer. Ta-da! I love that nice shimmer that it has, and it has a bit of that ghost print underlayer, which is also really, really cool. So if we were to do a bright color with this, I would use a yellow, and I'll show you the ceramic paint. So I used the ceramic paint in the video that I posted today doing the clover prints, and it's a nice glaze. Like, this is more opaque, this yellow from Golden. Let me show you what the ceramic one looks like. So this is the porcelain, Marabou porcelain. Do not ask me why I have this. I do not paint on anything that this is supposed to be used for, the substrate, but I have so many things I don't know why I have. But I like that I can use them on the gel plate. This is going to become a dirty green. I don't know if I want to do a dirty green on my print from earlier, so I'm just going to do another piece of paper. I'm going to take a different kind of leaf, change of plans, oops, put that on, see if it'll stay. Hopefully when I press it down it'll stay. And I'll try to do the yellow when it's not that green. I think I just need to clean the brayer. Okay, let's see. Pressing down really hard because this was kind of not wanting to be pressed down. Oh my goodness, look at that color over there. So gorgeous. Okay, let's see if I can get this quickly. It didn't leave much of a ghost print, and I think it's because the leaf didn't quite press down. Okay, that's fine. Let's do a white, and let's do a ceramic orange. See what happens. So sometimes I will just, layer, layer, and layer so many times I actually forget what my original plan was. It's good that I don't have an original plan. Okay, let's see what happens. I wish I could see the comments, because usually when I'm doing mad things like these on a live, I get all those reactions that say, no, you destroyed it, don't do that. And yes, it does feel like that in the moment. I will agree, it does feel like that in the moment when the print kind of feels like it's going nowhere. But it gets a life of its own. Now I mixed a little bit of white with that orange, and that was a ceramic paint, so you can see how it's a glaze. It's not that opaque because of the mixture of the two, and it has this nice sheen to it. It's a very, very calming print, this. I don't like that white over there, so I'm just going to do another layer of yellow, and see if I can maintain the integrity of that print. Maybe with the same shape, but not add too much more to it because I like where that is. And if it doesn't end up being what I want it to be, you know, that's the end of the journey for it, end of the road, we'll make it into something different. This time I'm going to use the Punchinella that comes with your card printing kit. Add a pattern there, put this on. I don't know where my leaf went, but also there it is. I might have placed it like that, but I'm not sure, but that's okay. It doesn't have to be the exact same spot. And then we layer on. Have you pulled a print on craft foam? I haven't. Should we try it? We can try that. Let's try that. Oh, I like that. I like how it added that subtle glaze. And it's kind of mixed up everything. Just going to see if there's anything left on the plate that I can pick up, and then I can try the craft foam. I've never tried craft foam. But this doesn't feel as well defined to me as I would like it to be. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to use an orange because I'm just feeling orange, green, and yellow right now. This is Pyro Orange or Pyro Orange from Golden. Again, these are very opaque. And it's drying up. I will add a bit of glaze to kind of continue with my glaze theme on this particular print. Don't need a lot of that. You see, when I breer too much, the paint starts lifting off the gel plate. You don't want that. You don't want to do that. I'm going to use this print here, and I'm going to add. This is the backing of some kitchen tile from Home Depot. Makes such a beautiful pattern, I think. This time I placed the leaf in the opposite direction of what I had done earlier. Give it a nice massage. Okay, I love this. Isn't that dreamy? I don't mind that white in the middle. It kind of looks like veins now. See what happens when you persist? I love that. That is such a cool print. I did forget about this one, so let's make this into something botanical. I want some red with that. Maybe a magenta? No, a red. Let's do a red. I love that last print that came out so cool with that little bit of texture. Paint peeling off, coming on the gel plate. Happens all the time. Let's use... Okay, so I have these. They look like leaves. These are dumplings. Dumpling container. My daughter loves these dumplings. And of course I can't throw anything away, so it goes in my texture drawer. I have a whole drawer full of bins and I'm running out of space for textures. How about we use this one as a mask this time? Masking is really my thing. I just love using masks more than anything else for layers, and that's why botanicals are my favorite, because you know, in summertime when you go out, there are so many leaves. In the fall with all the maple leaves, I mean, there's just so much you can do with masking and layering and one on top of the other. See, that's what I'm talking about. That is cool. I love that. And you've got the dumpling, backing of the dumpling tray texture there, and you got the circles, you got the color flash from inside, and that's such a striking print. So this is what kind of leads me down the rabbit hole, is the ghost prints. I see that image on the gel plate and I can't believe it be. I need to pull that off onto something. So I'm going to leave that be for now. And I'm going to look for that foam. Okay, so here's our foam. So there were 2 pieces of foam in the card printing kit. And one I etched on, so I will show you what that might look like when you're transferring this etching onto your plate. How I made this, you can use a pencil, just a sharpened pencil or a ballpoint pen to draw something. You can trace it off of, get a printout and just kind of trace over that and the imprint will come here. Or if you have one of these handy tools, I believe it's a nail dotting tool is what it's called. Again, I don't know why I have it, but I have it. So I just use this, not the pointy end, but the blunt, the tip. Let's see if you can see it. It's the rounded tip. And I just kind of applied some pressure and did that. And I can demo that right now. Actually, I can do that on the reverse side because this will come with your card printing kit. So you can make your own designs. So say you wanted to make roses. Should I zoom in? You probably can't see. Let me see if I can zoom in. So you might be able to see this better. Maybe lower my camera a bit. See if that works. Okay. So I'm just going to try to make a rose with this round tip over here. I am not a big Pinterest look something up and then draw kind of person. My flowers are wonky. They're not botanically correct, but you know, it's about having fun. So just made a rose like that, make a leaf, make some veins. I know a rose's leaf does not look anything like that, but my rose's does. It's all about self-expression and making art zero stress. So do what works for you. You don't have to impress anyone. You just have to have fun, right? At least that's what I think. Okay, so we have, let's give this little guy a leaf here. Cool. So you see how easy that was? This comes with your card printing kit. And then the other side has this. And I can quickly make a print from these two to show you what that might look like. It's not going to be, oh, I got an imprint of the pencil of my measurements on the other side of the gel plate. Okay, so let's see. We haven't done alcohol inks, but I don't want to try alcohol inks on foam yet because I only have one piece of this. So let me see if I can do distressed ink. There we go, crackling campfire. Let me just pull this off first. So we are working with a clean plate, relatively clean plate. Just going to pull this print off really quickly. And again, if you want to see a demo of how the placement tool works with different size plates, with a circle plate or with any of those other plates, other sizes, we will be having more live demos, and I might, if we have time, do a circle one today also. But if we don't, then I'm sure in the near future you'll see us using, I was going to use distress inks. Okay. So again, distress ink, same as the distress oxide, just dabbing that on, brayering that down onto the gel plate. Going to leave an impression of these leaves on here. You can also use your brayer to apply pressure. What this should do is the depressed areas of your print that you carved in, the design that you carved in, should leave an impression on the gel plate. Okay? And then you lift that up. It looks like nothing until you go in, press down, and reveal. So because this was distress inks, you can see that it's not very smooth, right? And there are blotches, but you can see the image right there. If this were acrylic paint, it might be a different story. So let's see if, we can find proof in the pudding right there. Instead of me talking about it, let's do it. Let's take some acrylic paint and see if that will be a different kind of print. Again, with the gel plate, experiment. See what happens. Let curiosity drive what you do, because that is really the only way you are going to know what works, what doesn't work, what you like, which is the most important part, because my techniques might not be something you like. You might like what Tracy does, or how Tanya does it, or how Burhit does it, or how Marsha does it. It's finding what works for you, and that's only going to happen if you do It won't happen if you just keep looking and saying, you know, I don't know how to do this or it's too scary. That's what we're here for. We're here to help you get out of that. My finger, I just realized I've scraped it, so I'm not going to be pressing down that much with my pinky finger. I don't know how I scraped it, but it's hurting when I press down. Oh, I didn't get to pull the last. So that's another thing why the placement tool is helpful. That last bit that didn't get pulled, I can just place this paper back and know that it's at the right spot and press down on those parts where that imprint didn't pull off the paper. It's already 1 o'clock. Okay, so I need to wrap up real quick, but that's what the foam piece there is for you to design your own. And actually, you know, that looks pretty cool. I think that's what it would look like if we were to print on foam. So let's try printing on foam since I said we would do that. And I'm going to use a dye ink. So let's use Catherine Pooler's Cummerbund. Roll that around and see if we can use a stencil this time. Maybe use a different stencil. So, or maybe, you know what, I didn't show you how this works, the embossing texture. So I'm just going to use that instead. So this will leave an impression on your plate. It looks like nothing. I don't know how it's going to pull on foam, and I can't use the placement guide because this paper is not as big. So let's see what this does. This is like us going rogue right now. Ah, it cracked in the pull. So, okay, not a great idea for taking prints on. Great idea for carving your stamps on. So there's that. I'll do, Madison, if we have time, can I just show them how to use a circle plate with this? Because we did get a lot of questions around that. Have I ever used different newspaper to print? I have used newspaper to print and it's totally fine. Just be careful not to put too much wet paint because your paper will tear. Have you pulled a print on craft foam? We just did that. Do different acrylic paints create different results? Yes, they do. They absolutely 100% do. When I started out with gel plate printing 3 years ago, I did not believe that to be true. I thought that if you did, you could get like Craft Smart or any kind of cheap acrylic paint and it would work fine. It works fine. To be honest, it works fine. The quality of the pigmentation is going to be very different. The vibrancy of your prints is going to be very different. You use something like Golden or Liquitex, just how lively your print looks is going to be very different. So invest in your paints, invest in your paper, and you'll get good, consistent results every single time. I'm going to quickly grab the circular gel plate. It's the 8-inch round. So another question that I've been seeing a lot being asked on social media is how to use the perfect placement tool with minis. I will tell you that your minis can be used as a stamp. So use your acrylic block if you have it, stick your mini on top. That's what the minis are for. Use your mini as a stamp, and that way you don't need a perfect placement tool for that. You want to use it, sure, but I mean, you can create your own hacks to use it with the mini. But this is what helps. You take your acrylic block and your mini is stuck on this, and you just press down and you can align your prints exactly how you want them. So that is the beauty of the mini gel plates, that you don't need a perfect placement tool specifically to work with your minis. A mini is the size of this, right? This is not a mini, but I just had it handy. It sticks right on top. So once it sticks, you just press down and bingo. Okay, so here is my circular plate. As you can see, it's not clean because I do not clean my gel plates. So this is going to pull off at some point. Oh, fun, fun, fun. So what did we not do? We didn't do Distress Ink re-inkers. We didn't do alcohol inks. Let me see if I can do one of those. Okay, so here is your circular plate, and we will need a big sheet of paper for this. It's going to be an 8.5 by 11. And I'm just thinking through as I'm talking. I will use maybe a picked raspberry. This is a Distress Ink re-inker. Any kind of re-inkers that you get with your stamp pads are cool to experiment with. You will get a very watercolory effect. I I love using my reinkers as a watercoloring medium. I'm going to keep my guide at 8 by 10. Oh, this might just be a fantastic ghost print pull here from what I can see visually on the gel plate. Let me see if I can zoom out so you can get the full view. Is that better? Move the camera up a bit. I'm not worried about that drying up. Just want you to get a good view of what I'm doing so you can see everything. Okay, taking my 8.5 by 11. Positioning that again. Think of your placement tool as a way to align and overlap your prints. To center your images on an A4 or 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper is why you have these guides, and it's great when you're using them to center your prints. But when you're using different size gel plates or you're using different size paper, you can still use your placement tool like I am to align your prints. Oh, interesting. So it did a bit of that. It's very faint, but you see how luscious this color is, and I love the beading, the texture. It's just gorgeous. I'm going to get one of my bigger stencils, or maybe I can use this one from Gelli Arts. I love this stencil so much. And now I'm going to go ahead and use acrylic ink. So we used Distress Ink Reinker, which was water reactive, and now I have my acrylic ink, which is also going to bead up, is also probably not going to pull that print off the gel plate completely. But I will still have a very, very cool background of that, I am confident. Put that on. Introduce some texture. So if you've ever been to Michael's, you might have seen these texture plates that are in the clay. I don't know, I don't even know what it's called. I think it's air clay section. These texture plates, that's where I found them. So I just use them to make marks on my gel plate. They might not show up on the acrylic ink as much as they do on the acrylic paint. So just align that so that it's touching both the ends. Put your paper where it was, move that away. Press on. I actually like to use Strathmore Bristol Smooth, which is the same size as the 8.5 by 11 when I'm doing my prints for either card making or for journaling. It's very, very faint. So you can see it introduced some color, but it's very faint. See that? I love the subtlety of it. Now, if we were to use some white on this acrylic paint, and actually, you know what? I've been using golden, so I'll show you another one. This is Soho. It's not a very well-known brand, but I like the, what is it called? Viscosity of the paint. So it's creamy. It's not as fluid as the golden fluid acrylics. It's a creamy, and that's what Liquitex is also. The Liquitex acrylics that I have are all creamy. And I like that consistency as well. It spreads really, really well and easy. You just have to be a bit more light-handed. Now I feel that for you to really appreciate the prints that were left on this gel plate from previous pulls, I should use a blank piece of paper so you can really see what's going on here with what is left, because nothing gets lost on the gel plate. It has such a great memory. It retains everything. My paper touched the plate before I was ready to place it. That's what the was for. I'm just going to roll this. I'm not being able to use my finger because of that scrape, so I'm just going to use my brayer to my advantage. When your gel plate print peels off, leaving your gel plate clean, it means you have just the right amount of paint. Now this will be a hot mess because of two patterns overlapping in that there's no clarity to anything, but you can see what was on the gel plate, right? When you pull this off. Again, layer, 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 layer. So where did my white go? Let's take some white now to layer. So I've got my white paint, plain white, nothing else. I might get some pink and some purple from the earlier inks that I used. Roll off the excess. Your brayer sheets also come in handy to make your masks and stencils, because as the color piles on, the paper becomes thicker and sturdier. So don't throw those away. Also, I use my brayer sheets for card making. It's just so gorgeous to use them. I'm just going to use this and put this on and see what happens. Not playing too much with texture today. We've done so many demos where we do a lot of textures, and I just want to show you how sometimes, even if you don't do a lot of textures, you can still get magnificent prints. So, so cool. And then, of course, there's all the detail, which, see if it can transfer over onto this. Most likely won't, but we shall see. But I love that purple that I just pulled. You know, there are some prints that make your heart so satisfied. It's like, okay, I have a gel plate printing session for 30 minutes. I get one solid, good-looking print. I'm happy with that. Nothing got pulled. I'm going to use my blue. This is acrylic. This is also acrylic, but it's a color shift. And this is porcelain, meant for porcelain painting, ceramic painting, so it's more of a glaze. Mixing all three, and it's okay to mix all three on your gel plate, because why not? You can't do this on paper, you know, you don't get the same effect. That's what I love about gel plate printing, is that you can mix all different kinds of media on this. And it's cool. So let's see if we can, because this is a bigger plate, let's see if we can do like different things on it. A real leaf, a made up leaf. You see how old this is? This is like years and years of paint on it. Some parts are completely dried up, which is fine. Maybe I'll just have it over here. I don't want the paint to dry up completely either. So in summertime it becomes a bit tricky because your paint will start drying up faster than you want. And I'm going to wrap this up. This is going to be my last print, because I know people have to go, and I've already gone over. And I know Madison has to go. Thank you so much for being here, Madison, and moderating and everything you do behind the scenes. You're very, very much appreciated. So let's see what this did. It looks like a dragon, kind of, doesn't it? To me it does. Looks like a dragon. Now I don't want to lose this, because this is where this is the reason I wanted to use a dark paint, to show you how gorgeous. I'm going to lift this up, bring it closer. It's all this detail. You see the fibers, you can see the fibers, you can see the leaves. It's all of these details. That's what gets me every single time. It's all of these details. Now I don't want to mess this up. That's the feeling you get, right? When you see something like this and you want to capture it, well, guess what? 50% of the time when I was starting out, I would not be able to capture it because I'm impatient. I don't wait for the paint to dry, which is exactly what I'm doing right now. But I want to demo that because, you know, sometimes you're so excited you don't have the patience to wait. What are you supposed to do while you're waiting? And other times it's just not meant to be. So my trick, it might not work. I will preface it with it might not work. My trick, which usually works, is to put paint on the side. I've seen Birgit and Marcia, and even Tanya, they will put the paint on the brayer sheet or another sheet of paper, roll the brayer on. So the brayer has some paint before they go onto the plate. I always forget to do that. I know that I should, I just always forget because my default is to put paint on the plate. So that's what I do. So what I have discovered is if you put paint on one side and you get some on your brayer, just go gentle, easy, and then start spreading it. See what I did there? And you should be able to see your ghost print, but you shouldn't be lifting off any of the white paint. That's when you know that it's the right amount. Put that on. I said that would be my last print, but you know, this ghost print was too good to give up on. Now, how do you turn all of this into cards? You cut them up. I might have a card here actually from these fibrous prints that I can show you. Oh my goodness. Oh, I'm dying. Okay. I am going to end on a high note. I mean, I've been doing this thing for 3 years and it still makes my heart happy like it was the first day of doing gel plate printing. Let me grab that card that I was talking about. This is what you do. You can cut your prints up into rectangular sections. If you do small enough ones, you may even get 2 or 3 cards out of this. It's very, very simple. All you did was pull a gel plate print and then just add some stamping, add a border, and you have a greeting card. So lots of ways of making cards. I am not a professional card maker. Many people are, and they are now experimenting with gel plate prints. So definitely watch their videos and see how they actually end up using all of these prints for card making. But I think we did a lot of cool stuff today, and I'm going to take photos of each of these prints. I actually ended up doing more layering than I had said I would. So I apologize for that. Let me just reduce this so you can see my face, and I will show you my stencil storage. What's the best way? Here. So right behind me, do you see that little carousel over there? Right there? That spins around, and that has all my stencils. That's how I store them. And I can go take my phone over, so I'll give you a closer up look for those of you interested. It is unfortunately a discontinued item. So if you find something similar in stores, it's a neat way of hanging up. There you go. Let me see if I can put that on full screen. This is upside down, which is not helpful. So I will rotate that. Here we go. So it's this thing, and it rotates. So I have all of my stencils here, and that's how I hang them. It does come with clips. I use the clips to hang like my bookmark tassels, but that's why I have tape, so I can just put on these little clips and hang them on, and then I have easy access to my stencils at all times. Because otherwise it just becomes, if they're inside somewhere, I'm not going to use them. And if I'm not going to use them, I mean, what's the point? So there you have it. That was the live. It's 1:20, my goodness. And I don't know if this was helpful or not, but this was a lot of fun for me. And I hope you got some takeaways from it that were helpful. If you are going to be buying anything from Gelli Arts today, remember to use MonCB. You get a 10% discount. Discounts are always nice. If you want to see any of the courses I offer on gel plate printing, they're at courses.montymakes.com. They're all self-paced. They're very reasonably priced. They're all real-time videos. You'll hear me jabbering a lot like you did today, but I hope the takeaway is not to fear the gel plate, to embrace the letting go part of it, and to not try to control the outcome, because that's the only way you're going to have fun, and you'll be surprised at how fun it can be. So I hope this was fun for you to watch, and I will go through the comments and questions after. This will be available for you to view later if you want to go over the techniques again on the Gelli Arts Facebook page. It will also be up on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much, and Madison, thanks a lot for moderating. I couldn't see any of the comments and was doing this in a vacuum, so I appreciate that so much. I will see you all next time. Thank you.